we rank all of the logos for the four major North American sports leagues. It's the MLB, the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL. I'm pretty sure I've done all of these independently, but this is going to be all of them together. Now, two things. I'm going to be going purely based off of aesthetics, not like legacy or history or anything like that, just purely based on how it looks. But the caveat to that is that obviously the MLB baseball logos tend to be more plain, sort of just word mark, letter type logos. So I'm going to be grading on a little bit of a curve with regards to the MLB logos. Like a C for an NFL logo is different than a C for an MLB logo. So that's basically it, but everything else will be pretty much the same. Okay, so let's get into it now. You see here we have the Deer Maker little spot and our logos down here below. We're starting off really strong with the Anaheim Ducks. You have the duck helmet with the crossed hockey sticks, the puck here, and this little triangle here. Now, I don't believe this is the original Mighty Ducks duck mask logo. I think that one was slightly different than this one. So I'm going to put this one in A, but if this was the original one, that one would definitely be S tier. Okay, now we have the Arizona Cardinals. Actually, I need an F. I need like a terrible one. We'll do this like blue color. So there we go, we have an F. That's not to say that Cardinals is an F. I'll probably put that squarely in the C category. Now we have the Arizona Diamondbacks. So again, like I said, grading on a curve, talking here about MLB logos. So you have the A. But like here's, I think this is like the fork to snake down there, and you have the Diamondback pattern there. It's actually quite unique of a way to design the letter A. So I'm going to put that one into the B tier. Now you have the Athletics. Now what's kind of cool here is you have the A with the apostrophe S, and so just like obviously here's the Atlanta Braves, here's the Red Sox. So they still have the word mark A, but they have the apostrophe S, which I think is a nice little touch that helps them stand out a bit. So I'm going to put that one into the B tier. And for our final logo, that's just the letter A. We have the Atlanta Braves, and for me, I'm going to put that into C tier. We have all three Atlanta teams back to back to back. Now we have the Atlanta Falcons with this very sort of angular hawk with its talons extended. Or not a hawk, a falcon, I suppose. But I'm actually really not that big a fan of this logo. I'm going to drop that into D tier. And then here's the Hawks logo, this circle logo with a little bit of the hawk inlet in this. I think it's a little bit boring. I'm going to put it there into get to the B's, and we have the two Baltimore teams back to back. The Baltimore Orioles. In my opinion, that's an S tier logo. I absolutely love that Baltimore Orioles logo. And I think I've said this before, but embarrassingly for the longest time, I thought their logo was a orangutan. Don't ask me why, but I just thought that was an orangutan. The Baltimore Ravens. I feel very similarly to this logo as I do the Cardinals logo. I'm gonna put that into C tier. The Boston Bruins logo. It's a bit boring. I'm not gonna lie, I have to put that in D tier. It's below average. But now the Celtics logo, very cool, because you have not just, so obviously you have the round logo, but you have the leprechaun sort of breaking the plane of the circle and spinning the basketball. I think it's a very cool and unique logo. And I have to put that into A tier. Okay, getting back to Boston Red Sox. Go ahead and put that into C tier. Now this is the first logo I genuinely do not like. It's literally just a basketball with a B in it. It is very, very uninspired. I really do not like that Brooklyn Nets logo. Now we come to the Buffalo Bills. I actually do not know what this red stripe is meant to be, if I'm being honest with you. I like the buffalo running, I think that's really cool, but I actually do not know what this red bit is meant to be. Regardless, I'm gonna put it into the B tier, but actually let me look that up real quick. Okay, so I looked it up and it's just like a speed line. It's just meant to represent speed, aggression, all that. But now we come to the Buffalo Sabres, who finally, after many, many years, have broken their playoff drought and won their division while doing so, which is really, really cool. I have to put theirs up in, I'll put theirs in B tier as well. I like the designs going on with the cross swords and the buffalo, but I think they could be doing a little bit more. Calgary Flames, the Flaming Sea. I'm a big, oh, my light just died. Hold on a moment. Okay, the light is back. As I was saying, the Flaming Sea, very, very cool logo. Obviously the Calgary Flames, just implementing that fire element into that. Nice. Actually, I'm going to drop it to B, but still very cool. The Carolina Hurricanes. I am actually not a big fan of this logo. I much prefer the flag logo that they have. The storm flag type logo, I think, is much nicer. But yeah, just really not a fan of this, but Hurricanes is one of those things that's like, how do you represent this visually in a different way that's more interesting? I don't know. Realistically, I don't know. Alright, the Carolina Panthers. I do like that it's basically only two colors. Using that negative space of the black, I think, is really cool. I'm gonna pop that up into B, above average. Hornets logo I am not the biggest fan of. I will put it in C because I think it's better than these ones down here. But the older Hornets logo is much better. This Bears logo, massive fan of the Chicago Bears logo. I love that it's actually just like the head of the bear. You only have the two colors, the orange and the blue, that two-tone design. I think it's a really striking visual. Really big fan of that Chicago Bears logo. The Chicago Blackhawks, which also until very recently was the Portland Winterhawks logo. I think it's okay. Obviously, there's some, conversations around this logo that I won't get into, but purely on a visual element, I'm gonna give it a B. Honestly, Chicago kinda crushes it in the sports team logo department. Bulls. I think the Bulls have a great logo. Very cool. The full ball logo there. Very, very cool. This Cubs logo, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'll put it in C tier. This Sox logo, I'll put into B. The Bengals. Very boring. Very, very boring. I think you could do so much more with the concept of Bengal than this. So I'm gonna put that into D. The Cincinnati Reds, I do like the design on the C, this sort of elongated, like, teardrop type look is very unique. I'm gonna put that into C tier. The Cleveland Browns, just being the helmet, I think is very cool. It's like they're here to play football, you know exactly what they're doing. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in B tier. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the C. I'm gonna put this in D. They could do so much more, and they have done so much more. Some of those older Cavaliers logos from like the 70s, 80s, I think, are way better. And this, at this point, this sort of very angular lettermark design feels a little bit dated. It feels very 2010s. And I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of those teams that are desperately in need of a logo shake-up, brand redesign in the NBA. I actually think there's a good number of teams, maybe a dozen or so teams in the NBA that are desperately in need of a bit of a rebrand. Like, get them a new logo, get some new colors in the mix, all that sort of stuff. Just looking at this list, there's a couple. The Brooklyn Nets could do with a rebrand. The Cavaliers could do with a rebrand. And there's definitely more to come. Okay. The Cleveland Guardians. Now I'm going to be a little bit harsher on this one. Just because this is a team that just recently rebranded. They could have done anything. They could have done legitimately anything. And I knew I said I was grading MLB logos on a curve, but this design of the letter C has just never sat right with me. I think it's just a really ugly font, and I do not like it whatsoever. Okay, the Colorado Avalanche, great logo. I love how you have the snow wrapping going on the top, wrapping behind, coming down. There's the puck in front here. The A almost operates as a mountain. It is a really, really good logo design. very plain. As far as there's no real sort of design to this. It's just sort of C and R. They don't try to interweave them in any cool way. They don't really try to work them in any interesting way. Put it down there, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Good logo. Less than stellar franchise, unfortunately. The logo here with this sort of flag wrapping. Very, very cool. I'm gonna put that in B tier. I actually might move the Cubs up to B tier. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. Okay. Dallas Cowboys, it's just a star, just taking this logo on its own. Not that good of a logo. Dallas Mavericks. This is one of those teams that desperately needs a rebrand. And I stand by that thing to figure out something new to do with this. This design is a little bit tired. I'm putting that in a D tier. Dallas Stars. I'm also going to put it in a D tier. The Denver Broncos, I do really like. Well, not really like, I think this one's alright. I prefer some of the older Broncos jerseys. Like, I think at this point, a lot of the modern NFL logo design language is just sort of, I don't love it. And I'm ready for a little bit more illustration and art in these logos. But they've always had a good, Bro's always had a good logo, and that one is a good logo. Okay, the Denver Nuggets, in many ways actually very similar to the Buffalo Sabres. The basketball at the bottom, the crossed pickaxes, and the mountain. Yet for some reason, there's something about the Sabres logo I prefer more. Maybe there's a bit more detail there, I'm not sure, but that's C tier for me. And now we come to the 4 Detroit logos: the Lions, the Pistons, the Red Wings, and the Tigers. Okay. The Detroit Lions, Lions. I'll probably put this one in C. Not the Pistons, the Pistons are another team I think are desperately in need for a logo redesign. But the Red Wings, I love this logo. I have to put that in A tier. It is so intricate and almost delicate in a way. I feel like it has actual sort of artistic merit to it. The two-tone with the red and the white is just so unique, so cool. The Detroit Tigers, I like the script font on the D. I really do. That script font I think is really interesting looking. I think it looks very elegant, and it really does suit the whole brand of the Tigers. Now we get the Edmonton Oilers. It's funny because I think this was last year's Stanley Cup final matchup, if I'm not mistaken. Oilers and Panthers. Okay, the Edmonton Oilers. It is unique. The drop of oil at the top, the sort of way the letters come down, but ultimately I think it's a bit average. This not just a circle, it's on this sort of badge. I'll probably put that up in B tier. A lot of these are gonna be B, because there's a lot of these I do think are above average, but Golden State Warriors, very plain, but yet very, it tells a story. Obviously the Golden Gate Bridge there, like you immediately know, oh, that's San Francisco, but they're telling you that without having SF or anything like that. I think it's actually a very well done logo. From a design standpoint, I'm gonna put it in A. The Green Bay Packers, I do like this on just a regular G. It has this sort of oblong G, making it sort of match the shape of an American football. I'll put that in C. Houston Astros, the H on the star. I'll put that in D tier. The Houston Texans, now I do like that it's sort of at this tilted angle. And then you have the Lone Star, the star in the eye. I think that's quite a good touch. I'm going to put that up in B tier. It's a modern sort of logo that still has interesting qualities to it that I think make it look quite cool. Alright, what do we got next? The Houston Rockets. The more I've looked at this logo, the more I like it. So the left line on the R is like the rocket ship, right? With this sort of circle here being, I don't know, the launching platform or something, but I'm usually not a big fan of wordmark logos or just lettered logos for NBA teams, but I do like that. Is it just some really interesting design principles there? The Indiana Pacers, the P with the basketball. It could be worse, but I definitely have to go D tier. The Colts with the horseshoe design, that's a D tier for me. The Jaguars, I actually really like the Jaguars logo. I think it's fierce. I like the use of the colors. And I like that they're going with sort of the anatomically correct colors for the animals, save for obviously the sort of teal blue. The Kansas City Chiefs, the KC on the arrowhead. I think it's very tastefully done. Definitely I'll put that in B, but then the Kansas City Royals, it's even worse than the Colorado Rockies in my opinion. It's very, very, very plain. Going up to the Raiders, and this is obviously just an S tier logo, right? Like, this is such an iconic logo. Having the Raider with the swords across behind him, the silver, the black, the white, like, absolutely iconic for a reason, and an easy S tier. Alright. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who actually, they're on a bit of a roll at the moment. As far as MLB logos go, I think this is great. I love the halo at the top. Actually, I'll probably put it in, I'll put it in B tier. No, I'll put it in A tier. What in A tier? Los Angeles Chargers is, is a bit of an improvement over the old one, but it still feels a little bit, I don't know. LA Dodgers, I'm going to put that in C, very plain and basic. Actually, I'm going to put it in D. Obviously iconic, but again, that's what I'm going off of here. The Kings and Lakers, shockingly, very similar. I'll probably put them both in the same spot at the C tier right there. Lakers I might actually drop into D. I think the Kings have a little bit more going on. Lakers just a basketball and a word mark. The LA Rams, I do like that the A transforms into this Rams horn. I think that's pretty cool. I'll drop that into C. The Memphis Grizzlies. Let's probably put that into C tier as well. The Miami Dolphins. I think this is a good logo. I'm gonna put that into A. The dolphin in front of the sun blazing in the background. Very, very iconic logo. The Miami Heat. I'll put that in B tier. The flaming basketball going through the hoop. The Miami Marlins. Looking for a baseball logo that's really good. The Marlin coming off the M there, very cool. Milwaukee Bucks, I'm not a fan of this new Bucks logo. I liked the old ones a lot better. I shall put it up in B, but the older Bucks logo would be an A or maybe even an S tier. Milwaukee Brewers. I just recently realized that you actually have the M and the B in the Brewers logo. Obviously it's a baseball glove, but you see at the top here the M coming down into the B, catching the baseball there. Really, really good logo there. I'll put that into A tier. Minnesota Timberwolves, I'll put that into B tier. I do like the little North Star up in the sky with the Howling Wolf. The Minnesota Twins, I like to have the Twin Cities. I do think it's a little bit weird that the C is the same font as the Cincinnati Reds. There's a reason for that. Please let me know. I'm actually not aware of why that is, but I do think it's a cool logo. But yeah, just interesting that the C is the exact same C as the Cincinnati Reds. Okay, the Minnesota Vikings. I'm gonna put that into B tier. I think it's above average. Now the Minnesota Wild. In my opinion, one of the best logos in professional sports. Period. You have the bear, but it's still a nature scene with the river, the trees, the shooting star. Perfection. Montreal Canadiens, I'll put that into B. Nashville Predators, this logo just looks goofy to me. It just, with how wide the mouth is open, and it just looks kinda goofy and not really that intimidating. This Patriots logo, obviously iconic. This is sort of the Brady era Patriots logo. I do think it's pretty cool, the star on the forehead, the sort of raccoon hat, and the tail there. I think that's very cool. New Jersey Devils, big fan of the J with the devil, the tail, the horns, and how it leaves the circle confines of the logo. Very cool, B tier. New Orleans Pelicans, I'll have to put that into C tier. I think that's very average. New Orleans Saints, it's a goal using the fleur-de-lis instead of like a word mark or anything like that. Represents the French heritage of Louisiana. fisherman logo. I know a lot of people don't like the fisherman logo, but I do. I think this one is fine. The Jets. I'll put into C. Put that in the C. And I'll put in a D. The New York Knicks. This is a bit of a boring logo in my opinion. This is a team that I think could use a bit of an update. The New York Mets. Put that in the B tier. I do like the way the N and the Y sit. The New York Yankees. As far as word mark goes, I think this is right up there with the Mets. Just the way they sit within each other looks. I think it's quite a visually striking image. Actually, I might put it to C. But I do still think it's quite a visually striking image. I just personally think the Mets logo is a little bit cooler. The New York Rangers. Put that in the D tier. It's alright. The OKC Thunder. This is another team I think are desperately in need of a rebrand. Nothing about this is Thunder. You have this sort of shield with OKC and a basketball on it, the orange and the blue. It's like I'm not getting violent weather phenomenon here. I would love to see the Thunder get a new logo. I think this one is kind of newish, but like they seem like a distinct "this is them" logo, and at the moment it misses the mark in my opinion. Okay, let's see. Is this the Orlando Magic? This must be the Magic. I do not like that. I did not realize they'd rebranded to that. I don't like that at all. The Ottawa Senators. I do like this logo. I think it's a really cool logo. Having the Centurion there with the helmet and all that. The 76ers, the original 13. Put down a D. The Eagles. I do like the Eagles logo. It looks quite fierce compared to some of these other bird logos. Beak open. Coming in for the strike. The Flyers. I've never really been sure what this logo is meant to be. Like obviously there's some sort of wing thing on here, but I've never really known what more this is meant to be. This Flyers logo. It looks kind of interesting, so I'm gonna put it to C. I just don't really know what it is. The Phillies, very unique font on that Phillies logo. And the word mark with the sort of rounded bottom and then the twist up there. Pittsburgh Penguins, this is an A-tier logo. Love the skating penguin. His little feet kicked up with the stick and I guess sort of furrowed brow. A really, really cool logo. No notes. Okay, we're quickly running out of space here. We only have a few left. The Pittsburgh Pirates. I'll put that in B tier, above average. I do like the little sharp points here, but again, they've had much better logos. The Steelers. I'll give it a C just based on the design. The Suns. The Blazers. Obviously I'm a Blazers fan, so I might be biased, but I might even go DaftRaincloud S tier. I think the Blazers have a very cool and unique logo. The 5 players on offense, 5 players on defense, the whole design behind that I think is cool. The Sacramento Kings, it's a little bit plain in some ways, but I actually dig it. I'm putting it to B tier. San Antonio Spurs, I'll probably put that into B tier as well. I like what they've done with that. Now we have these 4 California teams here. Between San Diego and San Francisco, the Padres and the Giants. I like San Diego's more. San Francisco down there and C. The 49ers, I'm going to put that in D, and that's not just because I'm a Seahawks fan, I just think it's a little bit meh. Sharks, great logo, that goes into A tier. That might even go into S tier. I really like the Sharks logo, biting the stick in half, and that pains me as somebody who does not like the Sharks. The Kraken, that's an S tier logo. That is fantastic. The tentacle S with the red sort of glowing eye right there. Fantastic, fantastic logo. The Mariners, again, I think that's the best. That and the Orioles as far as baseball. Like the S with the compass rose and the baseball in the middle, I think that's iconic. Seattle Seahawks, I'm not a fan of this current modern version of the logo. We're kind of over it. I think the retro is a bit cooler. I prefer that, but I think it's time for a redesign of this. St. Louis Blues, the flying music note, I think is really cool. I had to put that into A tier. St. Louis Cardinals, very, very elegant. I'm going to put that into A tier. For baseball logos, rather, very elegant. The STL and the way it flows together, big fan of that. Buccaneers, that's going to get a B tier. I really like the skull and crossbones on the sword. Now it's not like the old school Buccaneers logo, which is similar to the Pirates logo, is just a great piece of artwork, really, that also happened to be a sports logo, but I digress, it's still above average. Okay, Tampa Bay Lightning again. This is a team I think that needs to rebrand, but the question becomes, how else do you show, visualize lightning? Like, that's basically it, but I think it's very average. Tampa Bay Rays, but then D tier, very plain. The Tennessee Titans, I'm not a big fan of this. This is a little bit. Texas Rangers, I'll put that into C. I'll put into C. D. Toronto Blue Jays, fantastic logo. When I put that into S tier. You have the Blue Jay, you have the Maple Leaf. It's one of the few teams using a letter mark, word mark logo. Really big fan of that. Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm a big fan of this logo. Put that into A tier. I think it's very elegant, very classy. Toronto Raptors, I do not like this Raptors basketball logo at all. Bring back the dribbling dinosaur. The Jazz, it's C tier for me. It's Utah Mammoth. I should like this, but it almost feels like a EA Sports NHL 22 or something. Vancouver Canucks I'll put into B. The stick and rink is my favorite Canucks logo, but I do like the Orca. It's just not my favorite of their logos. The Vegas Golden Knights I think is an S-tier logo. I might be biased, but I love the helmet, the gold and black with the gray, the way it has a V in the negative space in the helmet for Vegas. It's just, I don't know. I think it's a very good looking logo. I think it's very striking and strong looking, and yeah. The Washington Capitals I'll put into D. The Commanders probably also in D. But the Nationals, I do like that. The way it swoops, I think is really cool. I might move the Phillies up as well. I realize they're very similar. The Washington Wizards is just bad. I'll put into C. But I just not putting into D. It's just sort of actually F. They're another team that needs a rebrand. And finally, the Winnipeg Jets. You have the Jet, you have the Maple Leaf, all that I think is all very good. I'm gonna put that into B. So there is my final tier maker rankings. You see B tier is our highest tier, with D tier down here as well. Also being quite large. Let me sort of shrink myself down here a little bit, but that is my ranking. Now, I'm sure if I reset this and did this again tomorrow, the ranking would be ever so slightly different. Like, this obviously not set in stone and is influenced by how I'm feeling at the moment or whatever, but this is about as close as I can get. My S tier would probably remain unchanged if I'm being honest, but yeah, anyways, let me know what you think of this list, if you agree, if you disagree. I'm sure there'll be a lot of disagreements, but anyways, if you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this every single week. Until next time, guys. Bye bye.